Okay, good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to be working on this project here that you see in front of me. And this is going to be good for a lot of you guys because it talks about a lot of things you've been learning in class. So if you remember some of the things you've been talking about, my second graders, I know for sure, have been talking about their geometric shapes and their organic shapes. Remember, geometric shapes are ones that you know, they have rules, a lot of straight corners and things like that. These ones have names. Sometimes we use them to have straight lines. These are still geometric shapes. They just don't look like as familiar as some of these ones. Our organic shapes, on their hand, are inspired by things from nature, so they don't have rules. They can have curves, they can have straight lines and corners, they can have lots of things, but they're always different and they always change, and they're a little more free flowing. For my other students, we've been talking a lot about symmetry. So if you remember symmetry, it's where we have a shape that can be divided in half and be the same on one or on two sides or more. So we have a shape like this heart where both sides are the same. We have that line of symmetry right down the middle. And some of you have been talking about symmetry where it's not just divided once down the middle, it can be divided multiple times. We've been talking about this. We call this radial symmetry. So I'm going to move these out of the way and look at this. So we can see here some of that stuff taking place. So we have symmetry where this side is similar to this side. In some parts, there is a little bit of radial or rotational symmetry where we see that like this side is actually flipped, but also upside down. Can't bend my hand that way. And I also see here some geometric shapes with these straight lines and some organic shapes with these like more curvy, free-flowing lines. So let's move this out of the way and see how we're going to make this project. Today we're going to be using a pencil and scissors to start with, and then later on we're going to be using glue. You can either use a glue stick or a glue sponge today. And then I have some markers, but you're only going to need one marker. So we'll talk about that as we get through it. But let's get right to our paper. We're all going to have a white background, a big, large white piece. And then I have some different papers you can choose from for your other colors. So you saw the last one I did was black and white. This one I think is going to be red and white. So I have my piece of red paper here, and I'm going to hold it or set it right here in the middle. It's not glued on or anything. And this is where we're going to use our pencil. And I'm going to push hard so you can see it on the camera, but I would push lightly if I were you guys. And I'm going to draw 3 lines. 3. Not 1,000, not 2, just 3. Keep it simple is what I always say. So I'm going to start my line along this edge. So I'm going to go from a spot that's here. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe I'll switch to a Sharpie so you can see it. You guys are going to use pencils, but sometimes with the camera, things don't work out so good. So you don't need these dots, but just so I can show you, I'm going to draw a line that goes from here out here into my paper and then back. You need to be able to cut this out. So if you do something crazy, looks like a lightning bolt or electric line running through here, it's going to be really hard for you to cut it out. So if I wanted to do zigzags, that's fine, but I would just keep it simple. So there's one. My next one, since this is more of a geometric shape, it's got these straight corners and edges and lines and everything, I might do something more organic with this one. So maybe I'll do, almost looks like a butterfly there for a second. So that's 1, 2 lines. And my third line, I only have a little bit of space left. It's going to go inside here. So maybe I'll do just something like that. It's a trapezoid right now. So all of your lines are starting on this edge, going out into the paper field, and then back to this edge further down. From the edge, out into the paper, back to the edge. Edge, out into the paper, back to the edge. And each one is kept getting a little bit smaller. So let's cut these out. Remember when we're cutting, my one hand does the opening and closing, and then my other hand turns the paper. So I stop cutting, turn the paper. Get to a corner, stop cutting, turn the paper. Straight lines are easy that way. Curved lines, you have to be turning all the time, which is okay. Don't throw any of these away. So I'll set this to the side. See how I'm continually turning my paper here. So you'll see I'm kind of cutting, turning, cutting, turning. That's a real sharp turn. This will be really good for any of you guys in second grade, third grade, and fourth grade. You've been talking about all these things, and it should be pretty good for you. It's like a little puzzle. These should all like kind of fit back together for right now. The last one. Nice. Got it. This little one, be careful not to lose it. I'm sure there's going to be somebody, and I bet you it's hiding right under the edge of your paper somewhere. I can't find it. That's probably where it's at. I'm done with the scissors. Going to move those out of the way. Let's get that out of here. Okay, let's glue it on. I think let's use the glue sponge for this. So I've got my glue sponge. I like the glue sponge because I know it's going to stick really well compared to the glue stick. So this is a really awkward shape, but I'm just going to do it piece by piece and try and get some good glue coverage on the back. I'm not so worried about getting every single inch, but I like to make sure I get just enough on there. If we look at the back, you can see how I've got glue in most of the places. So start with your biggest piece. This is the biggest piece I have. I'm going to line it up with the edges and press it down. You're going to have some of these pencil lines. I have these Sharpie lines on there. It's okay. Now, if I'm looking at this piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it. And you need to make sure that when you are putting the glue on these, that you put it on the right spot. Now, I'm going to take this piece over there. I'm not going to be moving it around, do anything crazy. I'm going to go straight from here over to my glue sponge, do it again. I think for my next piece, I'm going to mess up and show you like how it's not a big deal. So I've got this on here. So you're working from your biggest piece to your smallest piece. Now let's do this one, and I'm going to mess up. So this piece fit in here like this. So I can see my marker is going up. So I should just pick this up carefully, bring it over the sponge and set it down. But I'm going to pretend that somebody was talking to me, I messed up, and maybe I accidentally put the glue on the wrong side. If I put it on here, it's all good. This is actually kind of like our rotational symmetry that we were talking with some of you guys. So I have my big piece here, and diagonally, the big bump is down here, and all these three little bumps are down here, and now they flipped up there. And that's okay. That's a cool design. So we're just going to put our last little piece on there. Here it is. And there we go. So I have all my pieces glued on there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go up front, and I'll have a big box of markers up there, all these little skinny markers. These are the same thing, Mr. Sketch, but they're skinny little sticks, and so they have a finer point on them. And I'm going to put some decorations on the inside on just the white paper. You can see here with this one, because I did black paper, I did a black marker. So I'd like you to pick. Please if you got a red piece of paper, get a red marker. When I do this one, I just did straight lines near the straight paper, curved lines near the curved paper, but you could do something else. So let's do a couple different things here. Like let's start with this big one. Maybe I will copy this shape. I always like to think about like dropping this into a fish pond or something like that, and how those ripples keep getting bigger and bigger. So maybe I'll do a design kind of like that. So I'm just keep copying those lines and working my way out until I fill up that whole space. Maybe you're not into that. Maybe you're into polka dots. So maybe inside here, I'm going to do a bunch of red polka dots. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to scribble. I want you to think about it. I want you to pick something that's going to look good and that you're going to take your time on. Don't pick something because it's easy. I don't want to hear from the substitute that you were just grabbing your markers and doing like swirly tornadoes and every little thing. So that is not what we're about. Keep going until you fill up all these spaces, and then you're done. This is a real nice project. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you take your time, and I can't wait to take a look at some of these when I get back, because I think this is a fantastic but simple project, and that's what we like. So have a good day, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and take care.